Oi, oi, welcome back to the channel. Good to see you again. Oh, so glad to be back. I've missed you all so much. My little hiatus over Christmas and New Year's, that's all done and dusted now. Back to making good content for you all. And I've got a long list of content that I'm going to be making. The old outlaw biker content, gang content, top 8 reviews, skinhead and bonehead content, and a lot of local content coming up over the next few months. Yeah, so stay tuned for that. But grab yourself a coffee. Got to start the day with a coffee, right? And let's talk about where have all the skinheads gone? Where have all the skinheads gone? So where have all the old skinheads gone? Now, I'm not talking about the old boot boys, the old Spirit of 69 lads. I'm sure many of them are still around, still kicking, still doing their thing. But what I am referring to is the neo-Nazi skinheads, the boneheads, yeah, the racist ones, the ones that do that little stiff arm salute like old mate Elon did the other day. Yeah, that kind of skinhead. So the thing that I always noticed in my years with those groups is it wasn't a lot of longevity. It was almost like a revolving door into that scene. People were coming and going all the time. But there were some of the old guard. There were guys who stuck around for a long time, and they talked about guys who had been around for a long time. And so I thought I would share a little bit about where all these old guys have gone. What's happened to them all? I thought this Reich was supposed to last 1,000 years or whatever. They're supposed to be always around, but they're not. So where are they? Where have all the skinheads gone? So as I was saying, there wasn't a lot of longevity in these groups. And naturally, many of them fell away. Yeah, so a lot of the younger guys, who were part of this group, part of these scenes, they weren't in it for long, a few years maybe. A lot of them just ended up moving on, becoming adults, growing up, getting jobs, getting married, just having normal life, so many of them went that direction, they just became normal people. I'm sure many of them still, reminisce about their glory days of, young skinhead life on the streets of Christchurch and stuff like that, but they're no longer part of that life at all. And then you actually had a lot that went into the military. Yeah, even in New Zealand, a lot of the skinheads ended up in the army. They saw a lot of comparisons between, these groups that they were part of and the military. They were kind of military based in their structure. A lot of their ideals did come from the Third Reich, from German military. So a lot of them did actually kind of gel with that idea and ended up in the military. And for most of them, it saved them. It really saved their lives. For a lot of these guys, as I was, we're looking for something to belong to, some form of structure, and a lot of them found that in the military, of course. And I'm sure there's even a few coppers out there who were skinheads back in the day. Wouldn't surprise me. And then there were some who actually went into MCs. Yeah, there were quite a few actually, especially from New Zealand and Australia. A lot of those guys graduated into MCs, and I've talked about it in a couple of my other videos. Now, also Australia, many of these guys who are with us in the skinhead crew, when they left, they ended up with MCs. A couple of our prospects from the early days, they ended up prospecting with an MC. Even one of our members dropped patch so he could go patch in with the Hells Angels. So going into MC life was actually pretty common. For me, it was the other way. I went from MC life into skinhead life, but they need that structure, that brotherhood, that sense of belonging, and the MCs definitely offer it more than what the skinhead crews do. They're better structure, better organization. There are more of them. They're worldwide. So the appeal is definitely there. And I've also talked to quite a few MC members who are current who came from the skinhead crews, similar ones that I was with. And so, yeah, I know many of the old racist skinheads and now outlaw bikers. They ended up in that world. And then, of course, there are some who have actually retired. So they're retired from either the club or the life or both, or they've just retired from being active. Now, I knew of quite a few members of the skinhead crew that I was with in Australia who were still members but they weren't active. So they're essentially retired. So even with MCs, they have, you know, I think after 20 years, you can retire. And I know a lot of the crew that I was with were the same. They still wanted to be a part of it. They still wanted those glory days of, you know, I am Mr. Patch and I belong to this, and, you know, like the, you know, old boy skinheads and blah, 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 and they stay in it. And then you'll get some who just completely walk away from that life altogether. You know, they don't want any part of it. And, you know, I was one of those, didn't want any part of the life, you know, the beliefs or anything like that. And then you'll find a lot of the guys who actually do end up retiring or just walking away and leaving these groups, especially under a bad cloud. And there's a lot of us that do that, end up going in the opposite direction and actually helping people. Guys like Brian Widner, Jeff Shope, you know, they are really active when it comes to helping people out of these hate groups, out of, you know, the neo-Nazi skinhead groups. You know, Brian Widner was one of the founders of the Vinlander Social Club, which was a large neo-Nazi skinhead movement in America. So you also have these guys who are retired from everything, but have become active in other ways and helping people. But then, unfortunately, there were some who ended up in jail. Yes. You know, they got caught up in that life. They got caught up in the violence and the madness of it. They did some silly things. A lot of them did some things which can never be excused, and they ended up in jail for it. Yeah, a lot of them will never step foot outside of jail again. You know, and it's unfortunate. And I'm sure many of them have had time to really reflect on their life and, you know, wish they'd made better choices, I'm sure. But then, of course, you have the ones who have passed away. There are many of the neo-Nazi skinheads who have passed away over the years. Some of them have died while they were active. Some of them have died while after they left, you know, and some have died under unfortunate circumstances. And then there's actually ex-racist neo-Nazi skinheads living here in Southeast Asia. Yeah. And that's where I'm going to be going with these videos. I'm going to be doing a series of interviews with a lot of people who have lived that life, who have lived with skinheads and punks and racists and gang members. There's a few here, you know, I mean, everyone knows there's MC members, outlaws, crims, thugs and all that in Southeast Asia. You know, many people come here to get away from certain parts of Western civilization. A lot of us come here looking for peace and doing a lot of healing and all that good stuff. And that's why so many of the ex-racist skinheads ended up here, because it's a great place to heal. And I'm going to be talking to them, and I'm going to be talking about that coming up on the channel and new videos. Sound like fun? All right, so there you go. There's a bit of an insight into where the skinheads may have gone. Well, some of them anyway. I am going to be doing a lot more videos about this in the future, including traditional skinheads in the scene and where it's at now and all this kind of stuff. So stay tuned, and hey, thank you so much for tuning in and for being here and supporting me and the channel as always. Much appreciated. And hey, if you want to keep supporting the channel, there's many different ways you can do it. All the links are in the description below. And also, if you know of any skinheads, especially any living here in Southeast Asia, any of the old skins or punks who would like to have a chat and talk about their life or some of their experiences, get them to hit me up. My email is right there. All right, that's it for me for another week. I will see you on Thursday. Yep, back to the regular schedule, Thursdays and Sundays. And stick around, got a live stream coming up straight after this video. Have a great day, everyone. Love and light to you. Peace out.